Ever the attention seeker, Congresswoman Nancy Mace is now the subject of today's 3 or 4 Wifey, but we're going to look at her sordid past, something that a lot of people don't know about, and we wonder why she's in the news so much. Let's look into it. Let's start with her probably craziest moment. Now, while she was campaigning for Donald Trump in 2016, at the ripe old age of about 40 years old, she did this. Now, I don't know why somebody's mom is doing this, but just watch. So that's some lesbian woman of some sort. This is her ex-fiance or somebody like that. Strange looking to catch a predator type person. Just looks like it. Very strange. I mean, Hank Hill is a crazy guy, man. Look at him. Whose grandmother is this? Holy. And he just vomits. And this 60-year-old white guy just vomits. Gross. Now, how did Nancy sweep this up? Again, you're 40 years old, probably 20 years out of the age where you'd be caught dead doing this in a sorority setting. But basically, she retorts and says, "This is why good people don't run for office," Mace said to an outlet in response. Okay, now that makes no sense. Now, let's look at another response she made. She posted this. Again, this is not a 16-year-old girl, by the way. This is not Sharpay from High School Musical. This is a 47-year-old woman who, as recently as even December of this past year, said this: "Some people visit my past more than I do. I don't live there anymore, sweetheart. I sold the whole effing building." Now, first of all, holy toxic. I mean, we're talking about someone who's married or was multiple times and is the mother of, I think, 2 children, is representing upwards of 100,000 people in South Carolina, has the whole world on her shoulders. What I mean to say is that she's in the top 500 of politicians in the country generally as a congresswoman. And she just says this, okay? So first awkward video out the way. Number one, that video in and of itself very well can be a deal breaker. However, plenty of girls in college do this, just that this one graduated 20 years ago. But let's see. All right, now Exhibit B is what she just recently this week went viral for again, is where she apparently, yes, she posted her own image as a sitting congresswoman of the United States to own her ex-fiance in a congressional setting. Mind you, the person accused of taking these unconsented pictures and video has sued her back for defamation. So looks pretty good for the men in this case. And I only clarify that because if you're in Congress, you more or less have impunity to say whatever you want, and you generally don't get put in court for what you say. So you could lie about anybody maliciously, and you're generally not going to get sued. However, in this rare case, apparently she's going to be subject to a defamation suit, which is a big, large barrier that you have to cross in order to prove defamation. And so let's see what the accusation is.
By secret cameras and hidden devices to record women and girls with impunity. Freedom is not a theory. It is the right to breathe. It is the right to dress and undress, to sleep without someone's camera filming your naked body.
Now, context, okay? The thing you see circled in the oval, rather, in yellow, is an image of her. Now, part of the headline would be crazier than the reality. I mean, when you say like, "Oh, I am going to show you a picture of myself," you think, "Oh, is it going to be in like 360p, 720p, 4K?" This is like straight up that movie, Paranormal Activity, really. And I mean, why are you naked in a guy's living room? Okay, it's one thing to be in the bedroom, bathroom. This is the living room, and you're naked in it. Strange.
The founders wrote liberty in parchment, but hidden cameras erase it in pixels. I speak not just as a lawmaker, but as a survivor. Starting on November 5th, 2023, I discovered my former fiancé, Patrick Bryant, had filmed women without their knowledge, without their permission.
So she's a survivor of that, guys.
And without their consent. He filmed rape, too. He appeared to catalog his tapes and footage and images and photos in the way that he saved the files.
Now, my question is, did you just figure that out in 2025, or did you know about this for several months, if not years, and not said a word?
Stored these images, photos, and videos for years.
How would you know that?
This isn't just creepy. It's criminal, but only under weak state laws. In South Carolina, first-time voyeurs face a misdemeanor and a small $500 fine. That's not justice. That is betrayal. Real men guard a woman's privacy, but predators harvest it.
What?
When predators install covert cameras or forge explicit images, they do not just invade a room. They invade a life. And that life deserves more than a misdemeanor.
If I did the same thing in a girl's house, I mean, just comment down below if you agree with me that I wouldn't sue somebody over me walking naked in the living room of all places. I understand in the bed or something, but you're naked in the living room of a place that I don't even know she lived in. Okay? I mean, this guy was not her husband. Hoe behavior.
Exhibit 1, behind me is a screenshot from one of the videos I found of myself. The yellow circle, this naked silhouette, is my naked body. I didn't know that I had been filmed. I didn't give my consent. I didn't give my permission. And this particular video that Patrick Bryant recorded of me on his secret camera, he saved for over 3 years without my knowledge.
Okay, well, doesn't that mean that he wasn't going to share it? And isn't the whole point of the laws about sharing that stuff? And I don't want to use trigger any TOS, but anyway, that's when you share it online generally, right? Naked pictures, whatever have you. So if he's saving it for 3 years, obviously he didn't release them. You've been a congresswoman this entire time, by the way, since 2021. He didn't even release them. I'm questioning, honestly, where's the context? How do you even know he had these? Did somebody hack his phone and then it get published? Like, what happened? Did you go through his phone? How does this work?
I didn't pick this fight. I don't even want to be here today and
You literally just did.
discuss this. But because he's still roaming around South Carolina free, filming whatever genital parts he wants because no one has held him accountable, he's not in jail. He's not had to pay a fine, no restitution.
Why didn't you call the cops about this?
He's able to rape other women, film them. And when
Big accusations. Again, where's the proof? How the hell, you of all people, how would you know that? If the cops aren't involved, how do you, a woman that he dated or something, would know what he did with another chick if you weren't even there?
I discovered this video, I discovered that he utilized up to 4 potential devices, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were more.
How would you know that?
Surprised if there were more. I was filmed in secret. The camera sat silent, yet it screamed my safety was negotiable and my dignity disposable.
Bruh. Melodramatic much. Now, my morbid curiosity's piqued because obviously it's a deal breaker if you're gonna wife up a chick. Not me, but let's say some 50-year-old guy. You wouldn't wife up a chick who's falsely accusing someone. Now, would you? And so why does she know about this whole thing, about the sex? Well, apparently she went through his phone and then found a video and then found that there was 10,000 other such videos, which in my opinion is asinine because how the hell does somebody have storage for 10,000 videos? The most expensive iPhone 16 probably cannot hold 10,000 videos, not even cat videos. We're talking about recordings and surveillance footage, basically, which would mean hours and hours of stuff. I don't know how the hell he did this. I don't know how much cloud storage that would require. Seems like hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes. Crazy stuff. No, this is insane. This ex-fiance of hers, Patrick Bryant, who looks like Bill Burr with a beard, categorically denied the accusations made by Mace earlier this month. Okay, that much is clear. He says he's never hidden cameras and has never harmed any woman. Okay. Fair enough, maybe he didn't. However, if you look at something interesting here, you'll notice that Mace responded to him on Twitter, I think, which is super stupid, by the way. Why the hell would you even touch this? She says, if you aren't a, you know what, why would you film that? And then why would you be filmed doing another? Again, if there's a video of him actually doing that, 2 videos allegedly or whatever, then why aren't you under the prison, Mr. Bryant? And so the question is that if this investigation started in December of 23, and it's still active with no charges filed to date, how the hell is the guy guilty? I mean, if they've been sitting on information and all this other stuff for, 16 months, and what, there's no charges? And then he's also suing her back, apparently? Like, at that point, it looks like she's lying and exaggerating, basically, and trying to cover for herself, because a really blurry, crappy image of her is out. Very interesting. Again, I don't know all the details, but that very short segment she did in Congress also didn't really elucidate the audience, now did it? Now, let's look at some biographical information out of Wikipedia, because you love it, and let's see what sort of past she has. Now, to look at the Carfax, her first marriage was to Chris Niemiec, a lawyer and a JAG Corps officer at the United States Air Force Reserve, okay? Normal enough. Now, after they divorced, she married a guy named Curtis Jackson, she had 2 children, okay? Not too crazy, however, a second marriage is kind of rare, and it's also not a good thing, obviously. They divorced in 2019. Okay, interesting. Now, Mace also became engaged to Patrick Bryant, who's the guy who was like in the video, 2 or 3 years ago in 2022. They broke up a year after, apparently. She broke it off after finding that Bryant was on a dating app of all things, which I think is a stupid reason to break it up. I mean, a valid reason, but also given all the accusations, you think something else would have came up before the guy was on Tinder, maybe? Anyway, and yeah, so at least a guy that she accused named Brian Musgrave sued her for defamation, which again is a big deal because she's a sitting congresswoman. Now, what might be the biggest red flag of them all is that Mace is a non-denominational Protestant, which probably means that she's very lukewarm in her faith, which is not a wife quality. However, she also attends, Seacoast Church, which is a mega church in South Carolina, which I find to be horrible. Okay, a mega church. How religious is somebody at a mega church? Okay, I've never been to one, but it just doesn't seem. It's like the difference between the devotion towards music of a person going to an orchestra versus a person that's going to a Kendrick Lamar concert. Okay, both are listening to music. However, there's an intensity that is lacking with one over the other, and so that's a bad sign. Now, if you didn't know, despite having the vouching of the president, Donald Trump, Nancy Mace's political career before Donald was horrible. She ran for God knows what reason in the 2014 Senate primary to become a senator out of South Carolina the year that Lindsey Graham won. He, in fact, beat her so much that she only got 6% of the primary vote, which is a horrendous showing. I mean, it's really, 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 really bad. And then, of course, Trump props her up in like 2020. She defeats a guy named Joe Cunningham and becomes a congresswoman pretty easily in a deep red district. Now, as we can see here, her Instagram is quite normal, and in fact, there are over 2,800 posts. So, unlike most of these videos where I go through the Instagram, I literally couldn't. Like, I straight up was scrolling for 15 minutes just straight down, and I couldn't get to the bottom. And frankly, I only made 4 months of progress. She posts all the time. Now, you might be asking yourself, why is that the case? Well, apparently, there's some more information on that. So, if you look at the writing here in Wikipedia, apparently, many of her congressional staffers in the past has said her approach to office is about getting as much media attention as possible. Okay, so not legislating, not doing her job, but instead doing all the sideshows and trying to get on shows. In fact, if you look at some of the details here, you'll notice that she has a handbook required for communication staffers in which they have to book her to 1 to 3 national TV outlets a day. And local TV channels, she has to get on 6 times a week at least. So she's asking to be on TV every single freaking day, whether it be 3 times, 4 times, 20 times a week, basically on average, it seems. Completely ridiculous, in my opinion. Now, this is another gem that I couldn't find the video for, if there is any video footage, but apparently this guy named James McIntyre, who's like a pro-trans activist or something, apparently he was charged by Mace, and Mace wanted him in jail, and he was in jail overnight, actually, on the grounds of assaulting a government official. Now, you think assault and you think he socked her in the face, he did something really bad. Turns out that he began to aggressively and in an exaggerated manner shake her arm up and down in a handshaking motion, her arms flailing for 3 to 5 seconds, according to Mace. So he shook her hands for 5 seconds in a way that's like a little exaggerated. You know how Trump does with Macron, and that is what made her call the cops on him, which is not only uncalled for, number two, blowing it out of proportion, three, doing another thing for attention, I'm assuming, and four, her again making aspersions and accusations with not the strongest of backings, like how we saw with Patrick Bryan, I believe, the ex-fiance. Now, interestingly enough, Nancy Mace refused paramedic assistance, so not a good sign if you're claiming assault, right? You might as well just do that. But also stated in court documents that she felt pain in her wrist, arm, and armpit slash shoulder due to the incident. So, first of all, what a pansy. Who cares? She was in the military, I believe, and so it's not like, oh, I'm a girl, I'm so soft. It's like, dude, some guy who's pro-trans, who's probably built like Manny Pacquiao in a famish, okay? Cannot be too much of a threatening situation. However, on April 1st of 2025, the district attorney for the District of Columbia announced he would drop the misdemeanor charge against the McIntyre guy, okay? So when you think about it that way, this is a really bad look. And then on top of that, Mace also withdrew from the congressional caucus on foster youth relating to the guy, which probably means that she got laughed out of that congressional caucus for basically exaggerating a claim. And again, the charge that she wanted, which was stupid to begin with, like I said, got dropped. Okay, so we're seeing a pattern where this lady is evidently, what do you call it? She basically is making stuff up for attention, and then she gets blowback, and that is pretty evident when you look at the ex-fiance's case about the voyeurism, and it's been about 2 years since that investigation started by South Carolina, and they haven't actually charged him with anything yet, which is nuts. Now, this person, very hardened, her father was a brigadier general, which is a pretty low-level one, however, pretty telling of what sort of tutelage she got growing up, which made her into this sort of like attention-seeking diva tomboy fusion who also likes to do baby bird lip-locked exchanges with other middle-aged people in her 40s. Very weird stuff. I mean, this is the sort of comedy we're looking at with Nancy Mace. Bad day to be a classified government secret. We'll be joining Representative Anna Paulina Luna's declassification and transparency task force. And that's another idea I'm going to do. Representative Luna, she's very hot. Anyway, so this is saying bullshit detected. Now, Logan is so right. This is straight up cringe, right? Now, some gooner in the chat says one of America's best women. I mean, that'd be a hellscape if that's true. Anyway, now in this juncture, we're going to look at some pictures of Nancy Mace just so that people get a little bit of a palette or a sampling as to what she looks like. I'm not the biggest fan, however, one of the better congresswomen, which is saying absolutely nothing. I mean, that's like saying she's pretty hot for a chemistry teacher. I mean, it's like, okay, well, Jesus, scraping the bottom of the barrel. But guess what? Better than Nancy Pelosi. I'll give her that. So that's the first pick right there. Reminder that she is 47, so is it the worst body? No. Again, am I still disconcerted by a lot of her actions? Yes. And secondly, I would also say that her jaw is very strong. I see it as a blessing and a curse with women, okay? It's very unfeminine. However, obviously, having a symmetrical face is nice, but in her case, it's a little much. Honestly, I feel a little intimidated with my jaw, okay? I'm kind of scared. Now, there's plenty of reasonable guys that are conservative that would have a problem with their own 22-year-old girlfriend posing, or wife rather, in a bikini on a picture on Instagram. However, if you look at her Twitter, Nancy Mace, in her mid to late 40s, yes, you heard that right, is posting this sort of content. Now, Gooners love this. The Lauren Boebert fans, all 10 of them, really like this sort of thing too. However, I'm not really of a predilection towards a Nancy Mace, okay? I like other ones, but this 47-year-old is a little crazy for me. All right. So, in summation, we have seen through some of the Carfax that Nancy Mace is pretty much a bimbo, honestly, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that because I know her personally and have a strong opinion. I'm just going off of the little bit of research I did today. I'm a little frustrated that she posts so much damn content on Instagram. I mean, it basically makes it to where it's not evergreen at all. It's like the same old post, 3,000 different posts on Instagram. I think it's ludicrous, honestly. Not even high school girls or even sorority chicks post that often. I mean, just think it's nuts. Also, this is a picture of her from 2013 when she ran for Senate against Lindsey Graham in the Republican primary. She got trounced, of course, but it kind of just shows that she's been a career politician, or at least has been trying to, when you're looking at someone 12 or 13 years ago in her 30s that thought that she would have been qualified to be a senator more than any given 60-year-old white dude, okay, who's definitely more accomplished than she is. That's not to say she's not smart, not to say she's not high IQ, not to say that she's not a decent representative for what it's worth. However, she spends a lot of time seeking attention, very unattractive. Secondly, the jaw is a little strong. I'm a little afraid. Third is that she's always been the sort of a tomboy, even being a cadet in the military or something like that. I don't like that sort of thing. Up to you guys. What do I rate her out of 10? Well, I'd personally rate her like a 6, okay? Now, that's a Congress 9, in my opinion. However, AOC, better, others, better. And secondly, I'll add to my point. Now, Nancy Mace is not going to be, and I'll give you the verdict, okay? 3 or 4 or Wifey. Definitely 3 or 4, okay? I'm definitely leaning like super, 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 super towards that conclusion because she has a litany of issues and she's not hot enough to justify them, okay? So, frankly, not good enough. So, comment down below what you thought about the video. Subscribe if you want more content like this. Like the video if you liked it, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Adios.